Arsenal annihilate Atletico Madrid, Barcelona and PSG run rampant, PSV Eindhoven punish Napoli as Real Madrid edge past Juventus amongst a host of astonishing results as the premier competition in European football is back, and how. Welcome back to EuroLeague and welcome back to European Extravaganza. And today we'll be recapping match day 3 of the Champions League action. So without further ado, let's get started. On Tuesday evening, we saw the match day kickoff with Barcelona hosting Olympiacos, and it was very much one-way traffic as Barcelona demolished Olympiacos 6-1. Though I must say, the scoreline definitely flatters the Catalan club. I thought Olympiacos were good value till the hour mark. They started off the game quite well, quite bright. They had their chances, they had their moments, but of course it was Barcelona who took control of the game with a couple of early goals, courtesy for me Lopez. Um, yeah, really smart goals, smart finishes, and then of course came the drama and the controversy just after halftime. Olympiacos had a goal ruled out, and then um, they got a penalty that El Khabi converted. It was really interesting because actually El Khabi scored a legitimate goal, but the referee decided to give it a penalty instead of counting the goal. But he scored the goal nevertheless, and then the red card came, which totally killed the game. And it was for me really poor refereeing decision. Very very harsh on Olympiacos, who were very competitive till that moment, because the second yellow, really the farce. Santiago Heze, he barely touched Mark Casado, yet, you know, they, he quite theatrically makes the most of the foul. I'm not even sure if it is a foul indeed. Anyhow, it was quite a significant moment in the game because it just really opened the floodgates for Barcelona to punish Olympiacos, and they made the most of it. They maximized the um, the goal difference, and yeah, Marcus Rashford as well got onto the score sheet with a couple of smart goals, and yeah, ultimately comfortable win. It could have been something different, had Olympiacos not been robbed the way they did, but nevertheless, Barca will take it in their stride. Moving on, we move on to the Emirates, where on Tuesday evening Arsenal hosted Atletico Madrid, and yeah, man, it was statement and a half really by Arsenal. Really dominant win. Although again, I'm gonna start off by saying again, I thought the scoreline definitely flattered the Gunners. They're good value for their money for sure, but definitely not a 4-0 win. It was not a 4-0 game. But again, I think with Arsenal, we know now, irrespective of the competition, they're playing at the foundation of this team is their defense, it's their strength in set pieces, in corners, and that's how they opened the the deadlock. Though it must be said, I mean, I thought first half they were really good. They should have probably scored, uh, but they couldn't. It's more of the same old as we've seen in open play. They do struggle. I think the struggle remains to really put the ball in the back of the net. I think they've improved gradually, game by game. They are getting a bit better in terms of their chance creation in open play and being a bit more creative, but they're still finding problems in putting the ball in the back of the net. So Lord behold, it was a free kick. Though before, just moments before, it's a funny game because Julian Alvarez hit the ball with a fabulous effort from outside the edge of the box, literally just a minute before Gabriel headed home Arsenal's first of the evening. A wonderful cross by Declan Rice. For me, he's undoubtedly the best, you know, uh, corner taker or set piece taker in the world. Him and Saka are like top two, undoubtedly, with the consistency and quality they produce. Is genuinely quite ridiculous. I've not really seen anyone do it at that high level. And it's almost every game that you just know you expect delivery is going to be on point. And Gabriel is, of course, just a physical specimen waiting to pounce. on set pieces on corners, and he did so. Even though I thought it was again very poor by Atletico though, because there was I believe it was Nico Gonzalez marking um, Gabriel in that free kick, which is a total mismatch and very inexplicable how he was the one assigned to mark Gabriel. The second goal though was a peach of a goal. Definitely goal of the night. For the Gunners, really wonderful run by Miles Lewis Skelly. Ran through midfield and he played a wonderful through ball for Martinelli to finish and curl past Oblak into the bottom right corner. That was a wonderful goal. And then came their moment of luck, of good fortune, whatever you want to call it. Very fortuitous third goal. Um, yeah, really just ricocheted kindly into the path of Gyökeres, and he toe poked it home from close range. Even that took a deflection. There was a very ugly goal. And then the fourth goal as well from a corner. Yeah, same old. So anyhow, without kind of getting into what Arsenal do, I was more disappointed in Atletico Madrid. Truth be told, I expected them to put a better fight. Given the fact they've played a lot of good football, in my opinion, irrespective of results. So I definitely expected a better showing from them. But it was Arsenal really throughout the 90. I thought they were definitely worthy winners. So yeah, you can't really complain about the result. It was a really commanding and well-deserved win, and a statement win for sure for the North London club. Moving on to Leverkusen, they hosted the European champions Paris Saint-Germain, and yeah, wow, quite a spectacle really we witnessed at the Bay Arena. Real goal fest. I think we've come to accustom that. From Bundesliga clubs, from Leverkusen as well, and PSG. But for me, from PSG, what really stands out is how decisive they are in front of goal, and it's no surprise why they are the team to beat, why they are the reigning European champions, because I think that always catches my eye whenever I watch them, even in Ligue 1. They're very, very clinical. The end product is there in the final third. The decision making more often than not is on point, and that is why they're able to score goals for fun against many opposition. So it's no shame to Leverkusen they conceded seven. But yeah, just a real masterclass in putting the ball in the back of the net as well, because there were some fabulous goals. Due both goals fabulous. Kvaratskhelia with a stunner. Um, Nuno Mendes, what more can be said about him? As I said even previously, any and every adjective is less for him. He's just operating at that higher level, and you have to generally start putting him in conversations for the very best left backs the game has ever seen, because it's not normal. The characteristics, the qualities he possesses, both defensively and offensively, it's one of a kind. It's unlike anything we've seen. So yeah, he's just unreal, honestly, on a different level altogether. And I think he's undoubtedly one of the best players in the world. We have to stop just calling or limiting him to calling him one of the best fullbacks, because he's just that good. Dembele, of course, coming back from injury is a huge bonus. He got on the score sheet, and Vitinha capped off the evening with a fabulous goal as well. He had a tremendous game, but it was a really good game. I thought. I mean, Leverkusen gave a good goal, but again, the quality just outshone really. Like I just kind of, you know, um, inferred about the clinicality of PSG and how decisive they are. It's there for everyone to see the XG, the big chances, yet they really dispatched Leverkusen. So scoreline definitely flatters them, but that's what the very best teams in the world can produce. For Leverkusen, again, I thought they started the game fairly well. Um, who knows what could have happened had Grimaldo converted the penalty? You'd expect him to, but he hit the post, of course. And then Anvish got, you know, red card. He got sent off very, very naively, a very poor challenge, and that really killed their hopes. Even though they got back into straight away, because the Barney committed a penalty and a red card, so they had a way back. But it shows, the quality they have even with 10v10 PSG. They blitz past Leverkusen, and yeah, I mean Leverkusen still very much trying to find themselves and rediscover themselves under Casper Humland. So I think they're still very much work in progress. So yeah, it's always going to be a very uphill task against PSG, but yeah, didn't at the same time I didn't anticipate this a battering of this level. But yeah, full credit to PSG. Moving on, Dortmund, got a very good win against Copenhagen. They've been really strong, good form under Niko Kovac. So yeah, really good win for them as well. The real, move on to Tyneside where Newcastle United hosted Benfica, and a really good win for Eddie Howe's men. 3-0, very convincing and very deserving, to say the least. Really, really strong performance, and they really deserved it. They dominated the game from minute 1 to minute 90. Good to see Anthony Gordon, back on the score sheet. He's had his goal troubles this calendar year, for both club and country, not being the most decisive, most prolific in front of goals. So it's good to see him back um, amongst the goals. And then of course Harvey Barnes essentially sealed the deal with the second goal. A great assist by Nick Pope. He launched a wonderful throw, and then there was still a lot of work for Harvey Barnes to do, but he finished the goal off really well. And I thought the third goal was a pick of the goals. A wonderful goal, great link up play by Nick Waltemada as well. Even though, he may have ended the night with not a goal or assist, but he was really influential at the heart of all their goals, at the heart of especially the third goal as well. Really good again from Waltemada. He's been fabulous. And Barnes again with a good finish. So yeah, really commanding win by Newcastle. I want to give a huge shout out to Jacob Murphy as well. I just think they're generally a better team with him. Of course, Elanga has had a rough start, and I'm sure he'll get better. But Murphy is very underrated. He's very effective. He's very efficient in his actions, and we've seen it this season as well in the minutes he's got. And of course, last season was his career best. So yeah, big credit to him. And the whole team again. I think even defensively, um, I think again must be said how well Malik Thiaw has done. Definitely, caught me by surprise as well, and exceeded my expectations. Of course, he's a very talented player, but he did have his fair share of struggles. In Serie A, he wasn't perfect. He had his fair share of moments, but he's been flawless near enough since he's joined Newcastle. He's been really good. So huge credit to him and to Eddie Howe as well, getting the best out of him. But for Benfica, yeah, their troubles continue. Under Mourinho. Um, yeah, I think he's been past it for a while now. So it continues to surprise me and amaze me that he keeps getting the bigger and better jobs. So yeah, not much to really to shine light about in Benfica. So they were second best by far, and not a lot of good performers. I thought Luka Bacchio was very bright though. Him and Enzo Baranchel were their best players on the night for sure. But outside that, not a lot that Benfica had to play with in this game. They're just working off straps, and yeah, job done. For Newcastle, heading on to another massive result, and a big shock, big surprise that I don't think any of us saw coming. But in Eindhoven, it ended PSV 6, Italian champions Napoli 2. And wow, it was really some game, some atmosphere as well. By the way, it was incredible ambience. And what can I say? Honestly, first thing, right? Like it just has to be said, but Antonio Conte in Europe strikes again. I think that's the most decisive takeaway I have. Because whilst PSV are a talented team, they're enjoying a good start again to the Eredivisie. This result is unacceptable. The performance as well is unacceptable, and they really just got put to the sword. Really, yeah, it's not that the scoreline just flatters PSV or anything really, because they were well worthy of it. And despite we can get into a number of shocking, individual performances on the night. I think again, you just have to look at the manager when he possesses such a mediocre European record, Champions League record. And for as much as I love Antonio Conte, I'm a huge fan, of course, and the amazing work he does in Italy and the Scudettos he keeps racking up. It's rather strange his UCL record, being so poor. And today was another illustration of that, really, And PSV just have to give full credit to because they put them to the sword. They were clinical, they were decisive, and they pounced on each and every loose ball, every mistake. And Napoli again were rather discombobulated. And this is something I've said about Napoli, even in their wins this season. In Serie A, they're in a good place, sure, but like they haven't played the prettiest. They've still kind of struggled to make the 4-1-4-1 work. So again, I've had massive reservations about the system, and this only further amplifies it because yeah, these sort of results shouldn't be happening. But yeah, for PSV, fair play. They were really, really decisive, prolific in front of goal, and yeah, absolutely unbelievable on the night. A very special result for Peter Bosch and for PSV. Lots of good performance. The Salibari was really good. Man, Rehrman, they were very strong, honestly, all around. They were the better team. But for Napoli, again, individually, I thought the rare off day, like defensively. I'm a huge fan of Milinkovic Savic, of Buongiorno. I think became as solid, but they really had a stinker of a game. Di Lorenzo, my opinions. Like I think Napoli have to look past him. I was very amazed that they didn't really get hold of a right back this summer. They tried, in the market, but they couldn't get anyone over the line. But yeah, I think he's a liability in the against the bigger, better teams, especially in Champions League. Even in Italy, you don't really want him to be playing, those games. And Luca again. I mean, I hate to nitpick, but again, I thought he was shocking. Honestly, he just doesn't look cut out for for this level for Champions League or for Napoli, unfortunately. And yeah, it's a big shame, but I think that's where he's at, unfortunately. Moving on to Belgium, where Napoli's fellow title rivals Inter go from strength to strength with a really, really fabulous 4-0 win away at Union Saint-Gilloise. And it was a very, very good win, honestly, because Inter, rotated as well. They have, of course, a big game coming up on the weekend against Napoli. So, um, they were bound to rotate, and I expected a tighter game for that reason. But I think just the way they're playing right now is a big reason the big reason why they're getting the results, and then big reason why the performances are there as well. Because I think irrespective of the personnel, when you have the system clicking, the attacking patterns of play they've developed, um, I think that's a real sign of a good coach and of a coach who's doing a good job at present, which Christian Chibu absolutely is. So really, really good stuff. I mean, they could have really scored 7-8. Pio Esposito, he scored his first Champions League goal. He could have bagged a hat trick. Lautaro had a numerous of good chances. Um, so it was really commanding, really top draw. They had to sustain some early pressure where Somo came good with a couple of saves. But outside the opening 10-15 minutes, it was all Inter, and yeah, fully deserved win for them. Moving on to Spain, where Villareal, of course, third best team in Spain currently, hosted a Manchester City at the Estadio de la Ceramica, and it was a rather professional win, professional performance by City, 2-0, and yeah, got the job done in and out, really. To put it short and sweet, I thought they played really well though. The first half was fabulous. They could have scored more as well. I don't even think necessarily the stats probably do justice. The big chances probably tell you a bigger story because they had some chances where they could have easily scored another couple, or at least another one in the first half itself. But fortunately for them, they got the second, which they needed, in the first half because, like we saw the Monaco game, if you don't take your chances and if you don't get that second goal in time, you can be in trouble. But they got it, fortunately for them. Yeah, of course, Haaland being the machine he is, open to scoring. A great goal. Rico Lewis, has formed a fantastic dynamic with Haaland as well. He assists him quite a bit, so great assist by Rico as well. And the second goal was wonderfully crafted as well. Savinho was judged man of the match. He was outstanding, and he provided a great ball really on the platter, on the head of Bernardo Silva. We couldn't miss from uh, from 5 yards out really, and that was enough in the end. I thought Villarreal grew into the game as we expected them to. They were much better in the second half, and I think with City, like, once they get into 2 goal leads, we know they rest a little bit. They just drop the intensity, and that's what we saw. So naturally, Villarreal did have their moments. They piled some pressure. They hit the post. That was the closest they came. Donnarumma made a couple of decent saves you'd expect him to make. But yeah, outside that, very good, very professional win, and they keep moving to Manchester City. Moving on to Wednesday's fixtures, we head to Bavaria first, where Bayern Munich hosted Club Brugge, and it was really another smashing and a half. A lot of one-sided results, a lot of thrashings this match day, which was quite interesting. But yeah, this was another one of those really. I thought, and we have to start. There's nowhere else but to start with Leonard Cole, 17-year-old, and boy is he a talent. Of course, I'd heard really good things about him from the Bayern, media and the Bayern fans. Very big on him. He'd been doing really good things. You know, right from the grassroots level to the academy teams. Um, and now you can tell watching this game for good reason why Vincent Company trusted him to give him the start because yeah, it was some goal. Like he breezed past 3, 4 players and he casually put in the top right corner. So that is not easy. It was a joke for goal. For it to be Carl's first goal for Bayern Munich, I think is wonderful. So huge congratulations to him. And yeah, he was unreal. Honestly, even outside the goal, very electric, very vibrant, very dynamic, and he was causing all sorts of issues to Club Brugge. And yeah, outside that goal as well, lots of good performances. Yeah, I mean Luis Diaz could have bagged another couple. Kane had a couple of glorious chances, and that's the funny thing. Like they won 4-0 again, but it could have been 8-9 easily. But that tells you the level that Bayern are operating at as compared to any team in Europe. I think you can only really look at PSG to an extent, but even so, like Bayern are the only team in world football that have won each and every game in all competitions so far this season. And that tells you how well they're playing. So huge credit to them again. I thought Pavlovic, Kimmich were unreal as well in midfield. And yeah, really good. Lima for me, I've said this in a couple of previous videos as well. It's been unbelievable. As a fullback, I think he's been one of the best in the world. This season, it's been fantastic. And yeah, unfortunately, Club Brugge didn't get much change out of Bayern, and it was, yeah, really a spanking and a half. Moving on to Stamford Bridge, it was unfortunately, Chelsea piled more misery on Ajax. I am just really, firstly, amazed that I think they're still in the job, but yeah, it was to be expected. It was on the cards. It's a shame how it came about, of course, courtesy of early red card by Kenneth Taylor. Really poor challenge again. I don't know what he's doing. But post that, it was just an incentive and invitation for Chelsea to really get on the front foot and put Ajax to the sword, and so they did. You know, Mark Gui got his goal. Caicedo again with the fortuitous deflection. Gui, of course, from the set piece. And they had a couple of penalties as well, and yeah, the goals were a bit scrappy, a bit scratchy, but I thought Chelsea were, of course, well worthy of the win. They could have scored a lot more as well. And yeah, they'll just take it and move on. But on Ajax again, I don't watch them avidly, but quite sad to see their downfall. I mean, I'd seen briefly and heard of the poor season they've been having, and it's been tough, it's been rough, but yeah, it's quite really bad because even outside the red card, like with 10 men, like their general quality of play was really poor. I think it was really disappointing. So to see. Um, Anyhow, moving on, we go back to Germany where Eintracht Frankfurt hosted a struggling Liverpool side, and I think for Liverpool, Christmas came home early because I think Eintracht Frankfurt is literally the perfect side they could have wished and dreamed to play. Given the rot of form they're in, and given the way Frankfurt play, they're so open at the back. The high line they play is honestly quite ludicrous, and they've been shipping goals, leaking goals for fun in recent games. And unfortunately, it was more of the same. For Frankfurt, I thought they started the game well. Of course, opened the scoring, wonderful goal. On the counter attack, they opened Liverpool up. Great goal, great finish by Christensen, but that was all she wrote for Frankfurt, really, because just the way they approached the game, the way they played. I mean, I always knew you could always tell that Liverpool were going to get back into it, and so they did. Really, Ekitike, Van Dijk, Ekitike, of course, the former Frankfurt man. It's two on goal. He, of course, escaped. With the high line, and yeah, just pounced on that Van Dijk from a corner. Was decisive. Like so was Konate. Um, yeah, Gakpo as well, and Szoboszlai with a wonderful goal. But good win for Liverpool. I think more than anything, I don't think you can take much away from it, given the opponents and the level and the fact that stylistically they're so different to any team Liverpool will play in the Premier League. But I think it's just a very morale boosting win, you would imagine, because especially for Words, finally got his first goal contribution in a Liverpool shirt. Um, so yeah, I think in that level, in that terms, it was good. Isaac, though, I think also went off the groin injury, so not sure how long he'll be out for, but that is a bit of a concern. And Frimpong pulled his hammy in the opening 20, so I think he will also unfortunately be out for a good few weeks. Um, Moving on to Monaco, where the French club hosted Tottenham Hotspurs, and it was Vicario to the rescue again. Much like the Bodo Glimt game away from home, I think Tottenham really got away with it again. Very, very fortuitous to come out of Monaco with a point because they got absolutely battered. Um, yeah, they were really second best by far and away. I mean, the stats tell you half the story, but even outside these stats, again, if you gave a look to the game, it was really all Monaco. I mean, I'm not quite sure even now, like how they didn't put the ball in the back of the net because even a singular goal had would have been enough. But on Tottenham, honestly, against the same old, like I've called out before as well. I'm not quite sure. I can't make sense why Bentancur and Pellegrini are sure shot starters. I'm not sure why they're starting every game. I like both of them individually and what they possess, but again, I feel like they have to be rotated. I don't like the idea of them playing together in midfield, and I think that hampers their build up and their actual play on the ball, their creativity big time. And it was the same story yet again, Lord behold. So again, no clue why he keeps persisting with that. But they massively struggled. So the defense, but I thought Archie Gray was good to be fair to him. But I thought everyone else had a real rough game. And yeah, Monaco really should have scored. I mean, Fatih Balogun had his chances, so did Akliouche. they were really good, Monaco. But they should have scored again. Vicario though deserves all the credit because without him, this really could and should have been 2-3-4-0 to Monaco. But he was absolutely fantastic. 2.68 goals prevented. Yeah, he was everywhere to be honest. He was a brick wall on the night and very frustrating for Monaco. I think they deserved the win. They should have won, given how the game played out, but not to be for them. And for Spurs, I think there's some. I also feel like I'm very curious why as to Pape Sarr is being dropped out of the scheme. He started the first few match days and he was looking so good, so bright. Um, so it was also actually no coincidence that actually once he came on, once Simmons, Johnson, Colomani came on, they actually played a little bit better when those guys came on. And that tells you how about the lineup itself and how poor it was. How it wasn't on point because the subs did make a positive impact, but it was still not enough to get a goal, and deservedly so because had they have scored on the night would have been a real smash and grab. But yeah, still I think a very good point for Tottenham. But the performance is concerning. It is a bit alarming because it's in successive match days now, away from home in Champions League where they should have lost both, and in the league as well we've been seeing not really too many inspiring performances. So I think still a lot of work to be done by Thomas Frank. I think he needs to just let the really let the handbrakes off. I think sometimes I'm a humongous fan of him and the tactician he is, but potentially I feel like sometimes he's in the space that and the element that he's still at Brentford, and of course the pressure, the expectation, everything is so different. And the way he can approach games would be totally different at Brentford as opposed to a Spurs. So I think sometimes he's getting caught in that mindset, in that mentality, and which is why he's still being rather defensive and more cautious, defense first, and yeah, I hope I expect more from him, and I still think he can deliver that. He's a good enough manager tactically and as a man manager, but at least I think with him coming in defensively, it's night and day how significantly Spurs have improved from last season in set pieces. They're active threat, long throws. They've improved in the defensive aspects of play undoubtedly, but they have equally kind of gone down. It's come at the cost of their attacking prowess. So that's something they'll have to keep an eye out on. Moving on to Sporting in Lisbon, where Sporting Football Club hosted Marseille in a really action-packed, power-packed game we saw at the Jose Alvarez. And it was the hosts, the home side, who ran out 2-1 winners. Um, it was Marseille who took the lead. It was an unreal goal. I think for me, it was the goal of the match day by Paisao. Really good signing again on a free, I believe as well from PSV. It was, well, I think sorry, it was from Feyenoord. I'm pretty sure. But it was an unreal goal. No chance for the keeper into the top right corner. And there onwards, like I thought Marseille managed the game fairly well. But of course, Emerson got sent off at the stroke of halftime, and that totally changed the game state and the game flow. Yeah, rather naive. It's a poor sending off. A little bit harsh, I feel, but again, it was poor from Emerson. Again, the awareness has to be better. And they tried, they made the changes, of course, in halftime, but I thought, Sporting really took advantage of the man advantage. And they were decisive, really. They got a bit of luck. Of course, Jenny Katamo equalized. Um, and then it was Alison Santos who put them 2 goals to good. Yeah, a bit fortuitous with the way the goals came about, especially the second goal. Alison Santos, yeah, a very wicked deflection off Benjamin Pavard and gave Rulli no chance. So I thought they were a little bit hard done by Marseille because They were defending fairly well as well. Like I thought they could have held on for a draw, but it was not to be. And a really important 3 points for Sporting Lisbon. And lastly, we're gonna go to Madrid to the Bernabeu where Real Madrid hosted Juventus. Again, a game we saw, matchup we saw at the Club World Cup, and it was very similar. And Lord behold, the same scoreline, 1-0 to Real Madrid, and they just got the job done. Honestly, that's all that can be said. Because unfortunately, it wasn't a very pretty watch, not a good watch. Um, Again, contrary to the statistics, again, like I've mentioned about Madrid, even in Champions League, but mainly even in La Liga games, to they've struggled to break down, these mid blocks, these low blocks, and that's what Juventus came up with. We knew they were going to set up with a back three, even though it was a bit disappointing because again um, on the weekend Igor Tudor set up a back four, and yes, whilst they lost to Como, they actually played all right. I don't think they played that bad, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was a stylistic thing, and which is why he reverted back to a back three, but. Um, Regardless, it was very defensive, defense first, very cautious game plan. I didn't like it at all. I don't think that's the right way to approach games. It's almost like Tudor set up the team for a 1-0 loss, and even towards after the goal and when Juventus chasing, they weren't really chasing an equalizer at any point. They were very comfortable. Uh, Even when they're 1-0 down, there wasn't that urgency, that spark, that desire I saw to come back in the game. And I think that a lot of it instills from the manager's beliefs and how defensively he set them up. So yeah, my thoughts on that. I don't think stylistically it's a good fit tactically for the players they possess, and it's not maximizing their strengths. So yeah, disappointed by Juventus again, but it was to be expected. I have to talk about Di Gregorio briefly because he was extraordinary again. Much like the Club World Cup games, where he was unreal. Yeah, if not for him, it could have been a lot worse for sure. Um, but outside that, I thought Yildiz barely had an influence in the game. Um, Again, and yeah, not a lot really to go off for them. I think it was really, really mediocre. But even Real Madrid, yes, whilst the statistics may paint the story and all the ratings, more than any of that, I still think they need to do a lot better. They could do a lot better in open play. They still struggle to create, you know, clear-cut chances. They're still having to work really hard for it. Um, but I think when a team like Juventus comes to town and who's so defensively astute and who make it so difficult to score, you probably take these results and these performances. Though again, with the performances, it's becoming a little bit of a pattern with Madrid, which I think would be a little bit of a concern. So I think they still have a lot of work to do. But of course, it was Jude Bellingham who got the goal. Very very lucky. It was Vinicius Junior really who made the goal. So I think he deserves all the plaudits and the credit because the wonderful feat by him, of course, hit the post and it was a lucky rebound and a tap in really for Bellingham to give Madrid all 3 points. So yeah, that was that of the Champions League. Really exciting, really wonderful uh, games. We saw again a lot of shock results and a lot of goals, which is always awesome to see. And yeah, let me know in the comments below how your favorite teams, your favorite players fared, what matchups, what games caught your eye the most, what players caught your eye the most. I'd love to hear in the comments below. And yeah, do like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, love and guidance.